International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUL for life. We are IUL.
Good evening and welcome to Today on One. I'm Isai Sipunga. In the news tonight, unions appeal for betterment of teachers in schools. PDM feels like a general party, says Secretary General. Promotion of locally grown fresh produce set in motion. Beauty queens visit vulnerable children from Tualoloka. And round up Business on One, Comments Corner, Sports and the weather. First up, the Public Service Union of Namibia and Teachers Union of Namibia have raised concerns regarding unresolved issues raised by their members. Speaking at the Teachers' Day celebrations, the unions are calling on the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture to improve salary scales of employees and to resolve issues that could have been resolved a long time ago.
The president of the Teachers Union of Namibia highlighted the importance of teachers' needs that should be catered for in order for them to deliver good services, especially in these times where the teaching is faced with a lot of challenges amidst the COVID-19 pandemic.
We are also talking of the enhancement of the teachers' pedagogical judgment and skills, because now we are talking of learners, sometimes it's hard to get hold of them. Parents, it's hard to get hold of teachers. So now we need enhancement in reaching to each other. And that can only be done through professional development. Be mindful that we are here to speak of professional development for the teachers, that we mean to include the whole wide spectrum of the teaching profession, from the conventional to the teachers who are involved in special and inclusive education, to prepare new practitioners. Teachers, are we aware that we are also practitioners, not only doctors? So teachers need to be prepared for further crisis. Not only COVID, we don't know what is coming tomorrow. And to enable teachers to take advantage of the technologies and other possibilities. When COVID hit, everybody was not prepared and everybody was in shock. We end up talking that we must have online teaching. But are we well prepared when it's coming to technology? Is there a platform for teaching and learning of online? From the trade union, we are always advocating for social dialogue. Let's come together, let's talk, let's share, so that we can come up with tangible solution and intervention. And that can only be done if we are going to give honor to governance and participation.
The Secretary General of PSUN also noted that they are faced with many challenges when it comes to solving their clients' problems.
I hope the embrace that came from the Ministry of Education was not just because we targeted the special schools this year, but it is a genuine turnaround in the approach of the Ministry of Education towards trade unions. It is very, very frustrating for a school principal to write letters and letters to the ministry about a person who's supposed to be a matron but is being paid a cleaner salary by mistake, and it's over 7 years, the matter cannot be resolved inside Windhoek, where the regional office and the head office is. So what I'm trying to say is very simple. For us to make the work of our teachers and workers at special schools a bit more comfortable, why don't we prioritize their concerns and their complaints so that it is not dragged on and on until people lose faith? That is on labor relations. So I equally don't see the logic behind unions being regulated so strictly before they can talk to their members, those who form the union themselves. But other people, it's like they're having a free lunch with our members. We want to engage the colleagues. We want to hear more from them. The principals must take note. We are not coming to fight or to create problems. We are coming to assist in resolving problems that are there. When members are well informed about trade unions, you have less friction at work and less labor problems. There are sometimes charges that goes up to the ministry, somebody is charged, but everything is wrong. And that is where, when we are engaging, we are always asking, maybe the ED can take note of this, if people are being charged, you tell the director or a certain in ED in the ministry, this thing is wrong, read the Public Service Act. They continue, they charge the person. You have to travel kilometers to represent the person. Then you have to go to the labor commissioner. The whole thing is overturned, it was wrong. Nothing happens to the ED or the deputy, I don't know, the deputy is charged also, or the director. They are just smiling in their offices, after other people have wasted time trying to resolve the cases, after writing letters indicating the provisions of the Public Service Staff Rules, the Public Service Act. That is food for thought.
The unions further said that the education sector is facing many challenges amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, and only working together and joining hands will bring effort in finding solutions in how to move forward in order to improve the education sector.
Oranje, established in 1936, from which point onwards CDM, now Namibia Diamond Corporation, provided every service, the schooling, infrastructure and entertainment required for the people of the town. The winds of change is blowing over Oranje, which is no longer a closed town.
This ship was commandeered by King Jao III, and he actually sent a knight to Spain to go and fetch some money from investors, because they wanted to go and fetch some spices in India.
When we were kids, the mine delivered milk, bread, and black paper, black plastic bags for your rubbish, and cleaned your garden, did the maintenance of your house. You had furniture already installed in your house.
The Popular Democratic Movement will host its policy conference and election review from the 18th to the 22nd of October 2021 in Oshiwarango. The event will be attended by 100 delegates selected from both within the movement and outside based on their unique set of skills and expertise.
To bring it to our attention that the party or that politics in Namibia is so it's generalized. All of us are talking about, if you look at the manifestos of political parties in this country, we are all talking about land delivery, we are all talking about housing, we are all talking about these issues. But the question is, how are we going to deliver these things? What strategies do we have in place? And if you also look to the different political party stands, what identify us? What will a voter look at us and say, I will vote PDM because of this? And we believe that this policy conference will give a niche of PDM, will put PDM aside from all other parties, people to say, this is what these people really want to bring and this is what they want to offer. On the land policy conference is expected to develop and adopt comprehensive position on the complex dynamics regarding agricultural, urban and ancestral land in Namibia. As we all know, that Namibia is very much on land delivery, is a theme. But then we also have to discuss about urban and agricultural land. What are we saying and what is the developers and who will benefit from this? And especially the elephant in the house when it comes to the land is the issue of ancestral land. What is the ancestral land? Who owns it? How will these people get their land? Is it possible? What should happen? So we have to deliberate and have a clear policy standing.
The PDM Secretary General said the policies on these issues will be developed and adopted by delegates at the policy conference, who will be guided by comprehensive working papers which have been prepared by a team of experts in the movement's research department.
On the economy, it is expected that the policy conference will produce a tangible and workable fiscal policy and address issues of structural inequality in the economy and contradictions in the labor market, in as far as unemployment and working conditions are concerned. The policy conference is further expected to guide the movement in terms of its position on basic higher education and the complex dynamics involving funding and accessibility to education. Equally, accessibility to healthcare will be addressed, as well as issues related to climate change and the environment. And as we all know, climate change is very, very important. We are all seeing these felt fires. You are asking yourself, is it the climate change? Is it too hot? Is it the way that we are dealing with our field or our bushes? Is it maybe this issue of the shackle producers? Is it us who just go and have some picnic and burn? What is happening? We really want, and then we have to address these issues. The policy conference will also produce the movement's pronouncement on issues relating to LGBTQI plus rights, abortion, and gender. And we all know that the sexual minorities want to know where do we stand as political parties in Namibia. Where do we stand as PDM as an alternative in this country? And it's also a very complex issue to discuss, and we are going to look at that. And the whole issue of abortion, as you all know, there was a motion in Parliament about legalizing of abortion. And I believe that that motion did not get the necessary attention that it deserves. But we have to come as a party and say, what are we saying on these issues? Last but not the least, the policy conference will craft the movement stance on major international conflicts, such as Western Sahara and Israeli-Palestine, but also generally all the international relations issues. We have to look at that and say, what are we saying when we have conflicts within our own continent and far beyond, and especially the Middle East conflict that is so long overdue.
The second component of the conference will be the election review, which will analyze and scrutinize the performance of the movement during the 2019 presidential and national assembly elections and the 2020 regional and local authority elections.
Get ready to enjoy Simba's sounds of flavor.
All the Simba flavors. Let's roll. Slice, smoke beef. Where nigga? Shaya chocolate. Shitty tamat.
Together we roar because Simba roars with flavor.
The Namibia Agronomic Board, in collaboration with the Namibia Fresh Produce Association, have begun the eye-catching display of Namibia's Fresh Produce campaign aimed at promoting in-store sales of locally grown fresh produce.
The Namibia Association of Traders in Fresh Produce notes that the majority of local retailers have initiated promotion branding of the eye-catching display of Namibian fresh produce, with up to 95% of fruit and vegetable products in retailers being locally grown, further urging Namibians to look out for the promotional branding and support local traders.
It is all a drive to try and promote Namibian produce. So it's grown by local farmers. And these farmers must be able to sell their produce instead of importing.
Yes.
So it's extremely important for Namibian people to realize that these green boards, where you see them, please support the produce, buy the produce. By buying the produce, you're supporting a local farmer. And by supporting a local farmer, you once again provide jobs. It's a whole link. We've had made, at the moment, up to about 102 shops. Most of the retailers, they are still waiting for their packs. So the packs will be delivered within this month. So they can also start with their total branding. But all the retail shops in Namibia will have all of this branding available to them.
The Namibia Agronomic Board notes that the campaign, which was kick-started on the 1st of October, has been received well, stressing that it is a prerequisite for local retail shops who, should they fail to implement, will face punitive measures. The board will also subsidize the purchasing of the campaign signages to assist in fast-tracking its implementation process.
The most important thing to NAB is for us to promote sales of locally produced product. And why we are doing that is because it's actually aligned with our strategic objectives as well as our mandate. Because if you look at our mandate, is that we are mandated to facilitate the entire value chain, starting from the farm gate, which is production, up to the marketing, which is actually the table. And marketing is actually one of the biggest components, because for one to produce, you must have the market. And that is the reason why we are actually very committed to this, and we are very serious with this. So what we are doing is that we are actually encouraging all the fresh produce traders to display eye-catching display signages that is actually for Namibian fruit and vegetables, so that we are able to guide our consumers to do the right decision when they are shopping. And then we look at it to say for us to enhance governance in the industry, and for us to be able also to be able to inspect and ensure that all of them they comply, we actually come up with the standard eye-catching display signages that each and every fresh produce traders expected to display in his or her shop. What is happening is that since actually we are doing in collaboration with the NATFP, so we actually, if you are a paid-up member, we actually finance fully one of your shop. And if, for example, if you have more shop, maybe 10 shop, then the rest 9 shop, what we do, just pay $1,000 on each quotations. So it's really responding very well, but then and we expect at least the traders by 31st of November, all of them, they must be able to implement this concept in their shop. So during December, our standard compliance inspector, they will go around the shop just to enhance compliance. And if we realize that there is any non-compliance, obviously punitive measures are actually clearly separated in the MSP document, and they'll be applicable.
The board is also working with the Organization of Small-Scale Traders for Fruit and Vegetable Street Vendors to be in the future incorporated in the campaign, which is planned to be annually.
The 2021 Miss Supranational International winner, Shanique Rabber, and Miss Supranational Namibia, Monique Smith, along with their team, surprised children in Walfish Bay by spending time with them and feeding them through the Twalaloka Aid Support and Kindness Feeding Program.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
Toya Low and friends launched the Twaloloka Aid Support and Kindness Soup Kitchen initiative in Walfish Bay in April 2020. The project, which is entirely funded through donations, aimed to address the immediate consequences of the COVID-19 outbreak, which resulted in many people losing their employment and their capacity to care for their children.
I actually came across Toya through social media, actually. So from there on, I reached out to her, asked her if she needs any help. And so, like I mentioned before, that we need so much help from the community with donating and everything. So from there on, just bringing awareness to the group, helping expose them and all of that. It started when the entire supranational team came for the victory tour in Namibia after Shanique has won. And I thought, okay, what a brilliant idea would be to bring them here as well, and for them to see what TOS does specifically, to bring exposure and to make them aware of the everyday lives and the weekly feedings of TOS and the team to the community.
The two beauty queens aided with the transportation and feeding of the vulnerable children from Motoya, Twaloloka and the Narraville Cape Flats. The workers of the Task Soup Kitchen project volunteer their time to help youngsters from the Otoya village, which was devastated by a large fire that ravaged through the informal settlement, displacing hundreds of people.
I feel so blessed that they came here today. It was one of the best days ever that we've had at Task. They were so keen and so amped to be here, and I want to thank Monique for that, and obviously the Supernatural 2021 and all the other girls that joined, and you guys. I mean, this is amazing. We also had Miss Namibia a while back. You remember, she was here with us too. It would be great if she could come back again. But yeah, that helps boost our project.
As customary, if the reigning queen wins an international pageant, the national runner-up takes over her national title and duties. Monique Smith, who took over the national title and duties of Shanique Rabbe, who was recently crowned as Miss Supranational 2021, initiated the surprise visit from the two beauty queens, as Smith is a local resident of Walfish Bay.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
We can't wait to get the whole gang together. But until then, let's stay safe.
In other leading stories, the Governor of the Bank of Namibia, Mr. Johannes Gavachab, continues to engage stakeholders countrywide aimed at enriching understanding on how best to position Namibia to secure a sustainable economic recovery amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. His recent engagement in Keetmanshoop in the Clarence region follows highly subscribed events in Osho County and Swakopmund hosted earlier in the year, which bolstered national efforts aimed at mobilizing stakeholders behind the singular goal of building back the economy better. During the southern event, attended by regional and local authority leadership, representatives from the business community, commercial banks as well as civil society organizations, the Governor reminded stakeholders about the overall responsibilities of the bank, such as the promotion of price stability and financial stability, which underpins sound macroeconomic fundamentals necessary for economic development and advancement. The government reiterated that Namibia is not out of the woods yet as far as the COVID-19 pandemic is concerned, despite the recent decline in transmission and mortality rates. He was of the view that containing the pandemic and its spillover effects should not be left to authorities alone, but should be everyone's preoccupation in order to reduce the impact of the economy, which has been evident in job losses reported at 13,000 during 2020 and the first half of 2021. Therefore, vaccinations are essential to contain the pandemic and assist the country in reversing the economic misfortunes of late, which have worsened inequality, unemployment and poverty.
Remember the mission, yeah, revisualize the vision, connect to the journey, start early, step one, step two, next step, we start at the beginning of what a feeling, the future we believe in, let's start dreaming, Namibia, no matter what they say, we here to stay, so find believers just like you, hand in hand, this is what we do. More steps, yeah, we get through, let's go. Start again, you can. You connected to the world, yeah, we stand. Determined to move on, hand in hand. Put the switch on, a new reform, let's rise. Together we rise. MTC, make the connection.
Chat, experience and share. Hashtag Freedom to Play. The 2021 Online Women's Football Summit is here. Catch the live stream on One Africa TV's Facebook page at 2:30 p.m. on Friday, October 15th. Special speakers like Lolo Gorasep, Dina Shitula, Salome Iyambo, and other international football stars. Be part of the free online summit and learn all about women's football. Go to One Africa's Facebook page for more details. Proudly brought to you by Frederick Norman Foundation and Global United FC Africa Foundation and PO. We love football. We love our planet.
Joseph Shifeni is standing by for today's edition of Business on One and Economic Indicators.
Welcome to this evening's edition of Business on One. I'm your host, Joseph Shifeni. Bank Windhoek, through its Cancer Apple project this week, launched an e-Apple platform with the intention to elevate the sales capacity on a wider scale. The funds raised will go towards the Cancer Association of Namibia. Shemaine Boyce has more on the story.
The launch of the new digitalized 2021 Bank Windhoek Cancer Apple project will allow individuals and organizations to support the project from anywhere in the world. This concept was introduced as its more convenient way for customers to buy and support the project virtually.
Convenience of your home, access the app, the application we spoke to earlier, and order e-apples. And by doing that, yes, you're not getting the physical apple, but you are supporting the Cancer Association, and we can prevent the spread of the advancement of cancer because of early detection. So we'd like to urge all the Namibians to please, if you don't want the physical apple, please buy the virtual apple.
The Cancer Apple project is a signature project of Bank Windhoek and remains one of the largest and most consistent fundraising initiatives in the country. The project has raised more than 30 million for Cancer Association Namibia since its inception.
And so Bank Windhoek donated $500,000 last year to the Cancer Association in support of our patient financial assistance program. And once again this year, because of the third wave of COVID during June and July, when we traditionally host the Bank Windhoek Cancer Apple project, we could not do it again. So the launch this morning signals that, yes, despite the challenges, we are going to continue. The Apple project is launched officially, and it's going to span until March next year, where traditionally it was only for a month, to enable and allow Namibians as well as the school children to participate, so we can raise funds for the Cancer Association.
And individuals can still collect the physical apples or juice, or they can purchase on the e-Apple platform using their debit or credit card.
Thank you for watching. Join me again next time, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Are you a CMAS member? Did you know that should you need medical treatment, you have access to quality private hospitalization, guaranteed specialist treatment in private hospitals across Namibia with Compliment Gap? Compliment Gap is a complimentary product for CMAS members only, which covers the shortfall between what CMAS pays and private hospitals charge. You and your family have more than 2 million in medical gap cover per year at a very affordable price. That's not all. You also have access to emergency evacuation within Namibia and $10 million international travel cover for those unforeseen events abroad. Take the financial burden off your shoulders. Invest in your family's health. SMS GAP to 999 555 and we'll contact you. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi there, parents. Do you have primary school kids and want them to get extra quality supplementary lessons to up their grades? Then simply switch to One Africa TV's #LearnOn1, where your kids can get maths, English and science lessons every weekday from 9 to 11 a.m. with repeats from 2 to 4 p.m. And thanks to NMH's MyZone, these lessons are 100% Namibian. There's so much to learn with #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
Time now for Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from our social media pages. The High Court ordered the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security to issue a certificate of citizenship to same-sex couple Philip Lil and Guillermo Delgado's son, who was born through a surrogate pregnancy in South Africa in March 2019. The ministry was given 30 days to issue the certificate and also ordered to dismiss the requirement for a DNA test to determine paternity for citizenship. Antonia says Home Affairs must stop misusing taxpayers' money and employ qualified people for correct advice before taking people to court. Nopi Sika congratulated them, saying they have changed the course of human rights history in the country. Bright notes that absent fathers should learn a thing or two and stop judging. While Ansi says they have certainly put up a good fight. And that's all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast every day, only on Today on One.
Prevent cramps with Fabufarm's new MVA Cramp Stop. Developed to bring fast and effective relief from cramps in athletes, active people and senior citizens. Manufactured in Namibia, Fabufarm's MVA Cramp Stop contains a carefully selected blend of vitamins and essential minerals to prevent cramps with a full month supply of capsules. It's Fabufarm's new MVA Cramp Stop, your number one choice in cramp prevention. Now available at all leading pharmacies countrywide.
Time now for today's sports update with Castro Ulumbu.
Welcome to Sports on One. I am your host, Castro Ulumbu.
The Namibia Sports Commission earlier this week finalized the nominees for Namibia's biggest sporting event, the Namibia Annual Sports Awards. At the nominees' announcement, chairperson of the judging committee, Leslie Shiweda, expressed disappointment towards several sporting federations during the nomination entry process. Today on One Sports has more on this story. Announcing the Namibian Annual Sports Awards nominees, the judging committee chairperson Leslie Shiweda expressed disappointment towards some federations, stating that they have failed their athletes during the nomination process.
To the sponsors who have come on board to be able to make sure that these awards take place, because they are really fundamental to the development and to the upliftment of athletes in the country, because that is what pushes them. That is what drives them to be able to do much better, and also knowing just at the back of their heads that there's an incentive and a recognition at the end of the day. Having said that as well, there's one thing that going through the file we found that really needs to be pushed and improved, and that is from the administrators' side. The administrators or the sport administrators, some of them are really letting down their athletes, because you will find incomplete entries. These are things that have been done by administrators. You will find entries that have been submitted, but there are no statistics. You will find entries that are there, but there are no motivation. And all you get is that X-athlete has been entered into a certain category, but there's no motivation or even a small two-line paragraph to be able to explain as to why that athlete is the or should be considered as the deserved winner for that category. So it's one thing that the administrators need to be able to work on to try and really give the athletes a fair chance against the other ones. This year we had 68 entries in all the categories. It was a difficult task to go through all of the entries. We do have an auditing firm that will be auditing all the work that we're doing. That means that each and every entry have to be scored, and each and every entry have to have a form that goes to the auditors for you to be able to explain why that entry is the winner or not.
The Namibia Annual Sports Awards Organizing Committee also announced changes to the Community Inspiration Award category.
There's just a small item that we want to touch on. You may have realized that there was a communication that we sent out in terms of the two categories, that is the NASA, it's the Community Inspiration Award, and the Athlete Community Engagement Award. So those two, after having consulted with all stakeholders, and we are doing this for fairness, so that we are able to realize, because initially when we requested submissions, the submission that came through came in differently on those two categories. So after having consulted with our key stakeholders, we had agreed that we join those categories into one. More so to allow for all those that have also participated into the nominations to be assured that we are doing it in their best interest. There's nothing that we want to hide there. So our key sponsors in that category, Deb Marine and Standard Bank, have joined hands. So that category will now be called the Standard Bank Deb Marine NASA Community Inspiration Award.
Olympic silver medalist, teenage sprinting sensation Christine Mboma and compatriot Beatrice Masilingi will be looking to win big at the awards after being nominated 8 times. This year's award ceremonies will take place in Windhoek on the 30th of October 2021 with a total of 17 award categories. And that is all we have for you tonight. Join us again tomorrow for Sports on One, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Thanks, Castro, for that update. Now we have a look at the weather forecast.
A look at the weather forecast. First, an advisory from the Windhoek Met Office. Fresh to strong westerly winds are expected in the west and south in the afternoon. Cold to very cold conditions are expected in the south on Saturday. The Namibia interior partly cloudy and warm in the Clarence region. Elsewhere partly cloudy and hot to very hot. Windy conditions are expected in the west and south. The coast partly cloudy and cool to mild with fog patches in the morning. A few showers are most likely in the south. The wind light to moderate northwesterly. Now we look at minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
We've come to the end of this evening's edition of Today on One. From me, Isai Sipunga, and the rest of the team, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
This fishing community on Mozambique's northern coast has been hit hard. People here are suffering from high rates of malnutrition, but that's not all. The greatest concern is the high rates of HIV infection and AIDS, the main cause of death in adults and young people across Mozambique. Poor nutrition makes it even more difficult for people to fight the disease. 21-year-old Alima Artur is the daughter of one of these fishermen. A few years ago, she suddenly started suffering from an unknown illness.
Me encontrei desesperada, totalmente triste, minha vida só era chorar. Pensei que eu já estava a ir já.
All this changed the day Alima met Arlek Anna Abel from a project called Chapani. With support from IFAD, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, and the Belgian Fund for Food Security, staff from Chapani work with villagers to combat the dual threats of HIV and malnutrition. When Alima tested positive for HIV and AIDS, Arlek encouraged her to form a support group. Alima chose her father and aunt, who helped her to stay optimistic and healthy. In fact, teaching people to eat well is an important part of Arlek's work.
Eu ensinei elas para que pudesse enriquecer os alimentos para ela poder as hemoglobinas não baixarem. Então, já se alimenta agora de verduras, não só do peixe.
As part of the Chapani project, cooking demonstrations are held for everyone in the community. The session today features the highly nutritious Moringa Plant, a fast-growing, drought-resistant tree unknown to many locally. Now it has become a popular item in the local cuisine. Maria Machambi, who is not HIV positive, is learning to create her own garden with more than 6,000 other families in the area. The idea is spreading quickly throughout the community, with locally trained volunteers now leading the process.
They share their ideas with their neighbors and everyone gets excited. For us, that is key. Once communities own the process and they don't need an external person to tell them how to cook food, how to prepare it, they do it within themselves.
The success of the project has motivated IFAD to expand nutrition education across the nation over the next 3 years. Meanwhile, Alima is playing a key role in spreading the word about healthy living. Through songs, she informs people about safeguarding against HIV and AIDS, adopting healthy eating habits, and learning to cope with the disease.
Vê lá, me repara só. Sabe, uma pessoa pode me ver, não saber que eu tenho esse tipo de problema. Hã? Estou bem, hein? Ouviste?
And with more than 10% of Mozambique's adult population infected with HIV, this message has never been more pertinent. This report was produced by Jonathan Elliott for the United Nations.
Hello and welcome to the She Word, the show where we discuss trending topics amongst women across Africa. Girl, 7 years old. Do you know why you're here?
In 1997, I was filmed by an American news crew at the place I was being held. A shrine run by a priest dedicated to the worship of deities. I was labeled a Trukoshi, a wife of the gods, paying for a crime committed by a family member.
Okay. The purpose of sharing my story was to say, you know, you may have gone through something, a traumatic experience. You are still able to have life. You have life. You can live life. You can contribute to society, and that's what it should be about. It's not more. It's not really about like victimizing because I honestly don't like watching it.
Akiri, 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 akiri. Will you wash your hands with me? I want to wash my hands with you. Come on, I will show you what to do. Wash your hands in clean water. Wash your hands, wet them with the water. Wash your hands, now add some soap. Scrub your hands in the soap and water. Scrub above and below between the fingers too. Scrub under your nails and scrub-a-dub-a-doo. Rinse your hands in water. Rinse them clean, rinse away the soap. Dry your hands and go.
Akili, why do we wash our hands?
To wash away the germs.
Akili, what are germs?
They're like tiny little bugs on your hands, and they can make you sick.
But I don't see any germs on my hand.
That's because they're so tiny that you can't even see them.
Oh wow! I want to wash the germs away. Will you wash your hands with me, Akili?
Of course! Wash your hands in clean water. Wash your hands, wet them with the water. Wash your hands, now add some soap. Scrub your hands in the soap and water. Scrub above and below between the fingers too. Scrub under your nails and scrub-a-dub-a-doo. Rinse your hands in water. Rinse them clean, rinse away the soap. Dry your hands and go. Great job, Huruma! Can you tell me the 4 things we did to wash our hands?
I can try.
1.
Wash our hands with water.
2.
Put soap on our hands.
3.
Scrub our hands all over.
4.
Rinse our hands clean with water.
Wash your hands, wash the germs away.
Man, you've got to be anything, you should be everything. Strength provider, the architect of every ring. Experience Peniel, see the face of God and live.
I pray to God for my enemy.
Why you ready, baby, wanna do it? Insta baby. Why you lying?
Shake what your mama gave ya. Everybody move what your mama gave ya. Everybody shake what your mama gave ya. Everybody move, yet lost, fuck.
You are now watching the V10 Countdown.
My
My name is Mona. I'm a physiotherapist. Life as we know has changed and physical interaction is limited. Exercise is more important than ever. Exercise to improve your lung function. At home, stay safe.
Joseph Hartman was in and out of prison, dealing and doing drugs. Then a drug deal went wrong. Joseph was robbed, handcuffed, and scared straight out of the business. For 6 months, he roamed the streets as a homeless addict. Then one night, in a baseball dugout, Joseph met a stranger who totally changed his life.
I stand in awe of the power of the God who's our creator. And Terry and I sit here on this program, and the Lord speaks to us, and it's the word of knowledge. It's one of the manifestations of the Holy Spirit.
Something not always godly.
Not always, that's right. That's right. Well, there's a lot of negative voices out there, as we know.
Yes, there are.
And
so how do you know when it's God saying, Perry, I want to speak this to you right now?
And sometimes you don't know. And I think you pray over it, and you think about it, and sometimes you just, a lot of times I'll just envision, as you and I are talking here today, I may envision that I'm here talking with God, and how am I supposed to address this issue?
Okay? Realize Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is the same for you right now. So let's pray. Let's call on his name and let him do the rest for you. Let's pray.
Hi, beautiful souls. This is Nikita Winkler, and I'm here to share easy tools for stretching that you can do just about anywhere. This is a demonstration. So what's most important is that you take the time in each position that your body needs to release its tension. In this session, we will stretch the hips. What you'll need are yoga blocks or books, thick books, or pillows, especially if you have tight hips. You can do this on a mat, on the floor, on a blanket, or even in your bed. Let's get started. So we're going to start on the floor with the soles of our feet together. I'm going to grab around the feet. This is a butterfly position. So in order to warm up the hips, I'm just going to flap the butterfly wings. And again, take your time. I'm going to lean forward. And here, again, if the hips are too tight, you can place your blocks, books, or pillows underneath. You might even feel a stretch in the back here. From this position, I'm going to take one arm right behind me, not too far from my body. The other arm, inhale, exhale, press the hip open. And come back to center. Change. One arm right behind me to lengthen the spine, the other hand on the knee. Inhale, exhale, press the hip open and back to center. Now we're going to lie down on the floor. And first, before I get started, I have to make sure that my body, my spine is in alignment. I'm going to just open up the neck area. And you can spend as much time as you need here, allowing the force of gravity to weigh on the legs to open up the hips. You can place your blocks, books, or pillows underneath the knees. And gradually, you can take the feet even further down and spend enough time in each position. From here, we're going to go into an internal hip rotation. I'm going to spread my feet to the side, lean the knees inwards. If you have a little bit more flexibility, you don't really feel the stretch, just take your feet even further apart to deepen this internal rotation stretch in your hips. From here, I'm just going to place my feet, and without repositioning the feet, I'm going to take my arms to the side, and then I'm just going to rock my legs side to side, keeping the upper body facing up, shoulders down. And then I'm going to stop on one side, take the lower leg over the upper to add weight, to deepen the stretch. Release the leg and switch. Other side, lower over the upper. And back to center. Last part, I'm going to spread my legs as wide open as I can, and I'm going to just row the boat. So what's important here is that the knees don't lift off the floor. Make sure you row both sides. Keep the knees and both bum cheeks on the floor. Alternatively, you can just lean forward. You can hang out on the pillow. Take your time on the blocks or on your books. And that is it. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to breathe into your stretches and happy stretching.
You can be tempted to become bitter and cynical. You're tempted. You're not there yet. Maar jy het besluit, man, die ding wat ek aangedoen is, gaan my verbitter, ek gaan my verbitter maak. So you feel to give yourself over to those emotions of becoming cynical and you can also be tempted to take revenge. Paulus sê, you have been grafted, julle is ingeënt in Christus. Wat Christus is, moet julle wees. Wat uit hierdie boom uitkom, ek is die ware wynstok, ek is eintlik die bron waaruit julle lewe. Dit moet in julle vrug wees. Julle moet smaak soos ek smaak, sê die Here. Kan ek 'n amen kry? Ek hou niks meer van julle terug nie. Julle is opgegradeer.
COVID-19 affects people very differently. Many people show no symptoms at all, but some are hospitalized for weeks. So what does the disease do to your body? The coronavirus enters through the mouth, nose or eyes. It then usually attaches itself to cells lining the nose, throat, airways or lungs. It can turn these cells into factories that multiply and spread the virus. For the majority, a fever, cough and breathlessness are as bad as it gets. But the virus can damage the small blood vessels lining the lungs and initiate clotting. The alveoli are tiny air sacs where oxygen goes into the blood. If they become inflamed, it can trigger pneumonia. Seriously ill patients need to be given oxygen as the lungs fill with fluid and debris.
I legit couldn't breathe. My oximeter was measuring under 88% oxygen levels, which is very dangerous. And the only time I ever thought my life was in danger was at that point.
COVID-19 doesn't just affect the lungs. It can also disrupt the immune system, which is used by the body to fight illnesses. Cytokines are part of the immune system that find and signal infections. For some people with severe COVID-19, this system can go into overdrive. If too many cytokines build up, it can cause an overreaction that damages healthy cells. This is called a cytokine storm for the most severe cases. COVID-19 can lead to seizures or even a coma. It can also cause brain problems that lead to strokes. The immune system overreacting can cause clots that stop the blood supply to parts of the brain.